Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video here on iStarly TV. And today we're featuring a new deck with Lanturn EX. Again, I know that it's been a while since I've posted. I did just post a video the other day. I don't know when I'm uploading this one in relation to that video, but my last video was going over the new the new cards for the new set that were revealed in a new trailer. The new set is called Secluded Springs, and we're getting all of the legendary beasts as EXs, as well as a new Mantike baby, which is basically the water version of Pichu, and Magby. So anyways, yeah, this might be my last video before the new set comes out, Secluded Springs. Of course, you know, if we find out all of the new cards for the new set before the release, I'll probably make another video or two. And then of course on release day, I will definitely start making videos as well with the new cards because I'm really excited. So yeah, let's just get to this deck. So this is a Lanturn EX deck. This is not a card that sees a lot of play these days, though I am playing cards that do see play in this meta. Let's just kind of take a quick look at it here. We have Chinchou, double Lanturn EX. We've got 2 copies of Pichu, and then we are playing Eevee and Sylveon. I'm also playing Electric plus Psychic Energy. And the reason for that is because it allows us to attack with Sylveon, and Lanturn actually only requires 1 electric energy to attack, and then the other 2 energy are colorless. So we can have a situation where we put an electric energy on Lanturn with Pichu, and then the rest of the energies can be psychic energies. That's fine. Because of course the downside to running 2 energies in a deck is sometimes you need psychic energy, but you're only drawing electric energy, or the opposite is also true. Sometimes you need electric energy and you only ever see psychic energy. So Pichu really helps with that. And of course, if we get to a point where we're only drawing psychic energy, you know, we have Pichu to mitigate that. If we get to a point where we're only drawing electric energy, that's pretty fine. I mean, we don't need to attack with Sylveon in order to win with this deck. But the main card is Lanturn EX, which I know you can't really see it there, but its attack does 80 damage for 3 energy. You flip a coin. If it's heads, the defending Pokemon is paralyzed, and if it's tails, the defending Pokemon is confused. So either way, you inflict a status condition on the enemy. And as you can see towards the bottom of my deck there, we have Will. 2 copies of Will. Will guarantees your next coin flip is heads. So with Lanturn, it guarantees that you're paralyzing them. And paralysis is actually really strong. Barring Pokemon Center Lady, it means that they basically cannot do anything. It makes them unable to attack, but also importantly, unable to retreat, which can be very powerful for certain Pokemon. I mean, 80 damage, 2 shots most of the meta, you know, and Ho-Oh, for example, is weak to it. Lugia is weak to it. You know, there's a lot of common Pokemon that are weak to it. It 2 shots Giratina and Darkrai, so yeah, again, unless they have Pokemon Center Lady, which some decks do run, not a lot of decks do though. But also the decks that do run it typically only run 1 copy. So yeah, let's hope that we can kind of see how this deck does. The other thing, I'm playing Oricorio. I'm thinking about it. That could possibly be a Jolteon, which could be an option, but I think Oricorio is fine. And then finally, we have the Chinchou that came in the main set, in the Wisdom of Sea and Sky set. There was a promo Chinchou that came out in one of the little events that they had somewhat recently, which you flip a coin. Its attack is 1 energy, you flip a coin, and if it's heads, then you get to switch one of the opponent's benched Pokemon with their active Pokemon, which can be pretty good because you can kind of like, you know, target one of their maybe weaker Pokemon or one of the Pokemon they're setting up and then bring it in and then evolve into Lanturn next turn and then, you know, get a lot of damage on them or knock them out or something. But I don't know, it just felt a little clunky. And you know, the sequencing between using that attack with Chinchou and then attacking with Lanturn. Chinchou requires 1 energy and Lanturn requires 3. So I don't know, this sequencing was just kind of weird with that. But anyways, here's the deck and let's just get to some games. And here's our first game. And if you can see my emblems, I did get the beautiful Smeargle emblem. Smeargle, for those of you who might not know, is my favorite Pokemon. You can see my emblems right there. Mew used to be my favorite Pokemon when I was younger, and then now Smeargle is, so it's awesome that I have 2 emblems of my favorite Pokemon. We lead with Pichu. If you're playing Pichu or Magby in your decks, or the forthcoming Mantike, you always want to lead with them. In games where you lead with them, it just feels so... Sometimes they feel broken, honestly. They're very powerful. And if we can find Lanturn, we actually get to attack with Lanturn on our second turn, which is very, very powerful. And we also have Will, so if all we want here is Lanturn. I really wish this Oricorio is actually Eevee. I guess we could potentially find Eevee here, because I was going to say, if this was Eevee, then we could potentially draw Sylveon as another out. So we're looking for either Lanturn or Sylveon, because Sylveon can help us find Lanturn, potentially, in order to have a really powerful start. Unfortunately for me, my opponent also has a really good start with their baby Pokemon. This is a, Lugia, Ho-Oh, Arceus deck. Ho-Oh's pretty solid, and you can play it with a lot of different things. Usually a lot of things that fly. It's good with Lugia, it's good with Arceus. I guess Arceus does not fly, but it's also been used with Rayquaza, or Rayquaza, which is another deck that I've been enjoying. So they're going to put an energy on Ho-Oh, and we do find a Lanturn. That's awesome. Okay, let's see if we can find Eevee here to potentially find Sylveon. Unfortunately, we do not. Now, here's the thing. I think I'm actually... Let's see. I could go into Chinchou. No, I'm not going to go into Chinchou. Huh. If I play this on the I'm going to play it on the bench. I might regret this, but the reason I did that is because if my opponent has like Red Card or Mars, they might just fire it off since I have 3 cards in hand, and it's not that bad for them to, for me to shuffle 3 and then draw 3. Whereas if I have 2 cards in hand, they're probably not going to use Red Card or Mars, because then I'm drawing 1 more card than I have. And I really want to play this Lanturn, so I'm just really trying to kind of protect the Lanturn, which is the reason I played the Chinchou on the bench. I'm probably overthinking it, but I was just thinking, like, if I have 3 cards in hand, they're more likely to use Red Card or Mars if they have it than if I have 2 cards in hand. So my opponent's going to retreat right into Lugia, which is really interesting. I think they're doing this just to stall. This probably means that they have Leaf in hand, and unfortunately for me, we actually draw the Eevee now, so we wish we would have done that. If my opponent does not have Red Card or Mars in hand, I kind of messed that up there, but... this is where this is really powerful, because what I get to do now is I get to Will, which again guarantees a heads, and then I basically just 2-shot this Lugia, and they cannot retreat here. Of course, once again, my opponent could have Pokemon Center Lady, which would be really rough. I guess, yeah, if they have PCL... Well, actually, no, if they have PCL, they cannot retreat, because then they cannot use Leaf. And they have no energy on their Lugia, unless they have double X speed, which would be really weird. Oh, why didn't I think of that? Okay, yeah, that was really bad. That was really kind of dumb on my part. I should have assumed that they could have had Ilima. So that was really good for my opponent. However, if I am able to get heads again with Flashing Signal, then I do get to, basically guaranteed knock out their Ho-Oh this time for sure. I know I said that last time about the Lugia. Unless, once again, they have PCL, but they cannot Ilima Ho-Oh. However, if I do, I guess now I really want to draw my second Lanturn, because otherwise, well, actually, this is kind of scary. Yikes. Okay, alright, we're kind of feeling it now. Well, actually, no. We have Oricorio, right? I guess I just put this on Oricorio. We know that we are not going to be drawing electric energy, but I guess it's still nice to have this on Oricorio. Maybe I should have put that on Chinchou. But either way, we have to get lucky and get a heads here. If we don't, we're still in this game thanks to Oricorio, but we really want heads because, again, this effectively guarantees the knockout on Ho-Oh over 2 turns. Yes, okay, we got it. Unless they have Pokemon Center Lady, which, they very well could. Of course, it's worth noting that Arceus is immune. They have it. Arceus is immune to special effects, so it's immune to paralysis and confusion. At this point, I just have to hope that they have a I have to hope they do not have Sabrina, and that they do not have like a non-EX in their deck. If they have nothing but EX Pokemon, or if they have Sabrina, then I am in some trouble here. Although we get 1 turn here to do this. We absolutely cannot retreat here. Again, if they have Sabrina, then we are in a lot of trouble. And yeah, the next energy is going to be Psychic. Oh, this is scary. I'm going to put it on the Eevee. I don't think it makes a difference. And Sabrina doesn't really do anything here, because they have so many energy on all their Pokemon that they can retreat back. I guess at the moment, my opponent cannot do anything. Well, again, unless they have Sabrina. Sabrina is the one card I do not want to see. Yeah. And they're probably going to have it. I mean, I don't know how these decks typically are built, but Sabrina is a common enough card that, like, most decks play it, you know? Like, so Magby, this is kind of, like, I don't know, because, like, Ho-Oh, if it attacks Oricorio, of course, obviously it does 0 damage, but we have another Psychic Energy coming. But it still gets the effect, so that it does 0 damage to Oricorio, but it still gets to put 3 energy on one of their benched Pokemon. So Magby's just a worse version of that, I guess. Here, let's just set up... I guess we'll put it on the Lanturn so that if we ever do see an electric energy, we can finally do something there, but we have to stay in with Oricorio here. I could Sabrina, but I don't think that's valuable until my opponent has... What am I trying to say? Like, until I have something that can... I think that's what I was trying to say, is until I'm able to do damage to them. Because right now, if I just... Like I keep saying, if I Sabrina, then they have so many energy on their Pokemon, they can just retreat if they want. But, yeah. Sabrina, for my opponent's side, is the one card that'll end the game. Actually, I guess it technically... Well, it will end the game. Because if they Sabrina, anything I go into dies to a Lugia attack. So they just get to switch into Lugia right away and then knock me out, so... We just gotta hope they're not playing Sabrina. If they are not playing Sabrina, and they're also not playing a non-EX Pokemon that does damage, we basically win. But I'm assuming they have at least one of those two things because they're still playing. I feel like they would have conceded already if they, you know, if they had 0 Sabrina and 0 EX that can do damage. We'll see. What would it be? Like Komala? I think Komala is kind of the common one. Which, you know, if that's going to be the case, then I definitely want to put this on Oricorio. Oh my god, okay. The sad thing is we can never switch into... Like, it's tempting to just, like, switch into Sylveon to get some damage on them. Let's just do this because of Komala. It's tempting to switch into Sylveon to do some damage, like knock out Magby, but then if I do that, they just go right into Lugia and knock me out. I feel like we're going to be losing this game. I can't imagine, like, they have 0 copies of Sabrina and 0 copies of, like, a non-EX. I mean, this is a non-EX, but of course I mean a non-EX that's capable of doing damage. They go into Ho-Oh now. They cannot Sabrina, so this is kind of a weird play, but they're probably just going to attack, put the energy on, like, Lugia, maybe on... Well, yeah, I guess they just put it on Lugia, right? We shall see. Giant Cape. I mean, I can't say this enough. If they... The super, super sad thing is if we had just been hitting electric energy here, like, we would not be in this situation. We would be pretty much winning this game. Alright, there's finally an electric energy next turn. Let's go ahead and do Pokeball just to kind of get an extra card out of our deck. Put this on Sylveon and then pass. Yeah. Alright. All they need is Sabrina. Okay, that's not Sabrina. And they have 2 cards left in their deck. If they are playing Sabrina, they're gonna have it. They're gonna find it now. Like, they've played so many cards. Like I said, though, if we had been hitting electric energy instead of psychic, it's really funny because at the beginning of the video, I was saying, like, you know, oh, because we have Pichu, like, it kind of mitigates the fact that we're playing 2 copies or two different energies. But this game has been awful because we're playing 2 energy. They go into Arceus, which is another interesting play. I guess they see that I'm gonna start attacking soon, so they probably have another Ilima, which I don't care about. Again, as long as they do not have Sabrina. Yeah, we're immune to that. And there is Will. That can come in handy for a potential Lanturn attack at some point. Actually, this is a good opportunity to Sabrina. because all of their Pokemon either die to Oricorio in one hit or are weak to it. So we can either get a good chunk of damage on Lugia or knock out their Magby or put their Ho-Oh closer to being dead. So knock out Magby. Now the funny thing is, if they have a non-EX Pokemon, now they can just play it. So maybe that was a mistake on my part. But really, if they had a non-EX Pokemon at all in their deck, eventually well, actually, you know what? I might have, if they have a non-EX Pokemon, I think I made a huge mistake. Yeah, if they have a non-EX Pokemon, I'm probably gonna lose because I did that. Because if I had just never attacked, if I had never gotten to a point where I have to knock out Magby, then they just can't play anything else on their bench. I guess that's not exactly true, because they probably have a second Ilima, so who knows, everyone, who knows? And there is another, there's the non-EX Pokemon, so now they just want to go into, well, actually, something I need to keep in mind, though, is if I get any more knockouts, I win the game. Wait. Oh, man, this is such a risk. Oh, they could have another Ilima, yeah. I think, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna retreat into Will, go into Lanturn. I'm lucky that that was an electric energy right there. Gonna go into Lanturn and get off a good chunk of damage on Lugia. I think I do this, right? I don't know, I'm not gonna think, whatever. We just wanna end this game quickly one way or another. Go into Lugia, this forces them to either, now I wish I would have put the cape on a Lanturn. This forces them to either go into Arceus or, let's see. I mean, we'll see, or Ho-Oh, and of course Ho-Oh dies if they go into it. So if they have PCL, actually if they have PCL, we're dead, but I mean, whatever. Like I said, let's just end this game quickly. Otherwise, we're just gonna be waiting forever. If they have PCL, they effectively win. If they have Ilima, they don't necessarily win. Actually, if they have Ilima, I mean, if they have Ilima, it's pretty rough for us, honestly. Because if they pick up their Lugia, they get to go into Arceus, put us down to 20. And then we have to, well, at that point, we have to just switch back into Oricorio or something like that. Yeah, so this is pretty rough. I mean, they're thinking, wow, are you serious? Do they have just one copy of Ilima? That's insane. That was a crazy game. That was awesome. And I think that we did a good job of kind of showcasing the deck. That was awesome. I'm really happy about that. Yeah, that was a great win. I mean, I kind of felt like, obviously, I was outlining all the cards that they could have that would make us lose the game. But I was also thinking in the back of my mind, like, my opponent's kind of taking a long time. Like, I wonder what they're thinking about. Like, I don't know. That was a fun one.